What's up, guys? This is an advanced air guide for Supreme. I already have a simple air guide, but it's kind of old too. So we're going to go through a bunch of stuff to help you learn how to play air. Just a little bit about me. I probably have played air more than any other position, on Supreme specifically. Hundreds and hundreds, probably over 1,000 games. We're going to go through pretty much everything, and I'm going to just do my build, and I'm going to explain along the way what you can expect. All right, first off, I am core. And what I'm trying to do here, I'm going to set the speed a little bit higher just to speed things along here. So already what I'm doing is I am trying to build transports. So what's kind of normal on Supreme is for Beach C and GOC are going to ask for transports. Other people can ask for transports too. You might need to build those, but initially you're going to want to build transports for beach and for GOC.
Low power.
All right, if you hit low power here, just build more wind. Turn your commander on low priority or you're going to make your mexes stall. And then you can finish your storage. The reason I make a storage is just to even things out. The other thing that's going to happen normally is...
Battle paused.
The C players will give you 5 wind. So I'm just going to simulate that here.
Battle resumed.
And in true C player fashion, I'm sure they gave them to you late. Only kind of kidding. All right, we'll just go with something fairly normal. Usually GOC will ask for a light transport and Beach C will ask for a heavy transport. Kind of the way the meta is going right now. The other thing you want to do that you'll probably get right about now
Battle pause.
is an ARM T1 botcon, and you need to buy that from over here on Eco. That's important because their ARM wind is cheaper.
Battle resumed.
All right, so we're going to queue up this wind. We're going to send these over here. Just get rid of them. We're going to get rid of these as well. Make sure your lab never goes idle like it did right there. Super important if you're having trouble in the early game. That's probably what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and build 2 con turrets. One thing that you might see from my other replays is being aggressive early with transports. So I'm not building anything out of my lab right now because I want to make sure I get these con turrets up and going. And you always want to build the transports before this because this takes 20 seconds to build by itself. Now what we want to try to do is build fighters best we can. Here, a couple things are going to happen here in short order. Is Eco will want to buy...
You are wasting energy. Battle paused.
Eco is going to want you to pay for T2. So a couple of con turrets is okay to help you boost things out. These con turrets are also in range of this wind. So that's the reason why they're here. You don't want to float E, so I usually build about between 4 and 8 converters, just as many as I need. One thing on being aggressive early, so I can be aggressive early, but you notice I don't really have a lot to work with. I've made the transports. I'm floating a little bit of E, but I'll make a couple converters. I'm not floating anymore. I'm not really making that much. So if you want to be aggressive early, you're going to have a hard time because you won't be able to pay Eco for T2. That's going to slow Eco down. It's going to slow your economy down as well. So I have a handful of fighters. These can deny scouting. They can deny like naked bombers or a couple fighters or something. But remember that you're making a trade-off here when you're aggressive this early in a game where the economy scales exponentially. For example, if you're aggressive and you go through C, they could have AA here and you'll lose half your stuff on the way there. You can have a handful of fighters and just kill you and you die. And you can't really know that. You can try to scout. You'll get to maybe here. It'll get shot down by AA. You can get to here, but there's probably a fight going on right here, so you'll lose that to AA. You can't go through here because whistlers exist. Same thing here. So you can try to scout. You might get away with it, or you might not. So mileage may vary on being aggressive early. It's a big risk. Don't worry. It isn't for free. So good luck. Good luck if you want to try. Because what you're going to run up against is the rush distance from your opponent here to you is very far. And that's why you see higher level air players not build a lot of early defenses, because by the time you want it to be aggressive, I already have all my metal extractors upgraded, and the damage that you can do to me is minimal. So that is why. All right, now let's say you did want to be aggressive early. What would that look like? In the example that was going a second ago, I had 5 fighters. So if you did want to be aggressive early, what I would suggest is you make a couple extra fighters and 2 bombers. What this is going to do is slow down your T2 timing, because while you're building these, you will have needed to pay eco for T2. All right, so that's going to slow your eco down, but it might be worth it. So for argument's sake, I'm just going to on one of these guys in, just as an example. But while your bombing run's going on, you want to be upgrading your mexes like this, and you got to keep this going while you're doing it. So we're going to eat that. That's going to be going on, and then your bomber's going to be going off to go get damage while this is all going on. So what does that look like? You'll need to protect your bombers. You only have 2. You can do this with 1 if you're feeling extra confident. And some lanes that you can go through are here. Sometimes there's no AA. A lot of times there's an AA here, and there's an AA here. You want to watch out for AA in this area. There's also a radar here a lot of times, so you might give yourself away. So you always want to group up basically somewhere around here so that you don't get seen. You have to look out. Subs can be coming through here to attack beach. That's just something that you might run into that you won't see. And then they will see you. The worst thing you can do when you go for a bombing run is telegraph it and let people respond with AA. It will cut everything short. So it needs to hit all at once and with no warning. But for example, we're going to pretend like we know there's no AA here, or we're just going to send it anyway, and we're going to go through this area. But that's generally what you want to look for an opening as far as bombing runs go. So if you are going to go this way, for example, I won't go through all the other places that you can hit, because it is basically the same everywhere you go, what you're looking for. And the things you're looking for are things that are easy to kill, like wind. The things that you don't want to bomb, like don't try to bomb a commander with 2 bombers. That is a waste. You want to go for metal extractors, so you'll send your fighters in here like this. And first up, you would try to bomb these. Hold A and then right click, or hit A and then hold right click and then split, and then it'll split your targets. You always want to keep your fighters in front of your bombers. So what's going to happen about here is Geo's going to be pinging a lot. Air should respond. They're going to bring fighters this way. They could come from this way. So you want to create a shield between your bombers and their stuff. All right. Your fighters will tell you where their AA is, and you want to keep your bombers away from them. So essentially you want to move through and drop bombs as often as possible. So these will reload by the time they get to here. So the next thing you want to bomb is here. Now you have a choice. If you know there are titles here in a clump, you can go for those. 2 bombers will kill that in 1 pass. That will do a lot of damage. The other thing you can go for is wind here. But it's a good idea to go for things that are squishy and that you can kill in 1 pass, because early bombing runs like this are usually very short. It's hard to keep them alive and keep the push going. So you never want to have to make 2 passes killing something. You may not get that pass. All right, so you can go this way. You can do damage to pond. You can go for eco. A lot of times eco will build wind in this area. So ideally what you can do is get your fighters in here. You just kind of create a wall like this. Your bombers are going this way, so you can drop bombs here. And let's say, eco is slow. Usually by now, eco will have a couple of con turrets. And so they can build some AA. You may lose a bomber here, I don't know. But let's say you drop bombs here, and then kind of last stop would be air. And that's just because they're back here. Sometimes, like if you can get your bombers in and hit air first, I would do that. But, you want to be going for air's wind. Because for example, like if they have a clump of wind or converters, you can do a lot of damage. This is what I would do if you want to be aggressive early. Let me know how it goes. Now back to the rest of the video. So a couple of targets you wanna look for are, you want between 2 and 5 con turrets. Upgrading metal extractors. You want to eat your lab. So right now, the eco player is going to be complaining, that he needs metal. So I'm going to just make another con turret here. Con turrets take a bunch of E. We're going to make another con turret. I'm going to make 3 of these and just self-D them. Just to get rid of the amount of metal I would send to the eco player. And then I'm going to spawn an arm T2 just to give you a rough idea of how that would work. So I'm going to give myself one of these. All right, we got one. Cool. We want to upgrade mixes as fast as possible. So that means all the build power goes into one metal extractor as fast as you can. Oh, one note. One thing I forgot. I'm really bad to forget this. You need to make 1 transport for eco. It's funny that I forgot it even while I'm doing the guide. It's incredible. I do this normally, I just forgot. So, here we go. I'm going to be done making converters. I'm going to send this guy over here. We're going to tag this, and then we're going to go on over to the 4th mix. I'm going to walk the comm over there. While he's doing that. It's good. So we want to make sure that this mix gets done before this one and that we don't stall. It looks like we're going to run into that. We want to make sure we pause these guys and that this one gets done first. And before we go too much further, I want to talk about base layout because that's what you should be thinking about from the very beginning. I want to just help you see what I see here. So this is my base. It just isn't built yet. These are con turrets in this column, and I haven't measured it, but it's roughly something like con turrets in this column here, APHIS and labs in here. Later into the game, there will be labs here. You can put a T3 lab here. You can put defenses here. In the mid game, this is going to be filled with wind, and you can eat them later when you build con turrets into them. This area is all, well, really, this area is all conversion. All right, now let's keep going. So here we go. We want to keep these guys going. Pause these. We want to finish these mixes as fast as possible. Sometimes you can get the second con turret over there. It just didn't feel worth it. Actually, it might as well. No, it's going to be 5 seconds before it gets there anyway. A lot of times you won't be able to get the second con turret there in time. Build's got to be pretty tight, so we're going to unpause these guys. We're going to make 15 cons. Transport this guy back over here. If it'll work with me. So we are boosting these out. This timing's actually fairly normal. We're going to guard this. So what we want to do here is want to make these columns of wind here. And we're going to queue these guys up. And we want to fill this space with wind. Okay, let's talk quickly about this blueprint. What is this? We have 3, 6, 9, 12 wind. And essentially what we're doing here is making sure these walk as few steps as possible between chunks, right? So think about it more like I'm going to build these chunks, and whenever they're standing right here, they really don't have to move very much.
Are you sure about that?
You are wasting energy.
Whoa, whoa. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
The corrected blueprint looks like this. Starts from the left, goes to the right, and then goes back. And then when you tile them together like this, it makes a left to right pattern. So in order to make this blueprint, what you'll do is select them from left to right in order, like this.
Battle paused.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you will hit Alt-C, and then that'll save your blueprint, like up here. And then when you want to place this blueprint, you'll do Alt-B as in boy. It makes things much easier to work with. I should also have my comm over here boosting this. And the main reason is I have metal in the bank, I have energy in the bank, so I should be applying all of my build power to this one thing that I need to complete before I can get my lab back online. And you'd be surprised how quickly you can make 15 extractors. And truth be told, a lot of times I'll go up, I'll like add a con turret if I feel like I can. That's something to keep in mind. All right, so we're done with this. We want to eat this and then build lab immediately. Good. Fighters on repeat. Click on the lab, hit X, and then hit T. And that puts it on repeat. That way you don't have to click it. All right, we're just going to be boosting up fighters. So it's 8 minutes 15. That's a very normal time. Even though this is very contrived for this scenario, that is not unusual. So a lot of aggression happens, well, after this considerably. Even early, what people would consider as early aggression happens quite a bit after this. So this timing is pretty solid. Think about the early aggressions that you've tried, and take note of that. I already have 9 fighters. Let's see how many I have by 9 minutes in this just example where wind is terrible. I'll be at like 10 fighters. I mean, imagine making bombers being on the other team. Like, it'll be really hard to compete with this early unless it's double air or something, which is kind of out of your control anyway. Now that we've gone through the metal extractor upgrading process, part I want to touch on next is like, how can you be aggressive at T1? So I would say, we're 9 minutes in. This is still within the T1 phase. So I just want to go through ways that you can be aggressive. Number one, pretty obvious, you can bomb. So going for a timing attack between 10 and 13 minutes at the latest, you can bomb, 10 bombers, something like that. That's okay. I want to take note of a couple of other options you have, though. You can just make shurikens and go win a C. Imagine this is a close C battle. They don't have a lot of AA, like not a lot of herrings, not a lot of skaters. You can make 10, 15 shurikens and just go win C. No big deal. Here, you can do the same. You might have to get involved helping mid. You really don't want to do that again because AA is very common at T1 with lashers and whistlers. So I would, call out using shurikens at this phase and then scouting. You can try to scout. So maybe you just want to try to scout. Make five scouts. You can get vision on a C better or something like that. But I would say, imagine you made 5 scouts and you are against someone doing my build. Do you think they're going to get in? If you have your fighters positioned properly and you have 10 of them or whatever, I have 17 apparently, and you have this many of them, you're not going to get in there. Another thing I want to take note of too is a lot of times people hide scouts back in here. So make sure you can pull your fighters back like this and then just put them back. And then make sure you clear out any scouts or something that can really ruin your day. Okay, so for this guide, I want to try something new where actually I'm going to do this in multiple parts, and that's so that I can get some feedback from you guys in the comments below, and I can give more useful information in the next video. That kind of begs the question, what do you think of the build? And how does it compare to your build, for example? I know I wish there were some things that were better about this build in particular. Like, by the time I am done building these cons, like I haven't actually spent all my metals, so let me know if you have any suggestions for that. The next video will be about the mid and maybe late game, depending on if it will fit as well. So, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.